going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here live from Belmar Saloon on a happy Father's Day. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with two-time Florida Writer of the Year, Mr. Roy Cummings here. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television on a happy Father's Day edition. And, of course, the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former Coach Scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. How you gentlemen doing this morning?
And Peter, that was the lovely Sierra bringing us a drink to start with, because we're out here at Belmar Saloon. We're going to do a little Father's Day special.
Yes.
And we always do food, right, Roy, when we're out?
Always do the food, for sure. No doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have Roy Cummings here because we've done some television work before together. He's also been on the sports web on the radio side of this. So this is kind of, what do you guys think of this? Look at this shot. Look at this. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy in the background here. We got drinks. We got food possibly coming. And, of course, great Father's Day.
There's not a possible.
No, well, there's never a possible with you.
And we're joined by the newest member of.
Yes, I wanted you to introduce him.
Yeah, Ryan Neal.
Yes.
Ryan, welcome aboard.
Thank you guys for having me.
There you go. So he's ready to go. We're all ready to go. Open phone lines because the question of the day, because it is Father's Day, and it doesn't necessarily have to be sports related when it comes to fathers.
And a toast to the fathers.
Yes.
Yes.
Toast to my father, of course, who is the creator of this show. Cheers. Cheers to Rich from Clearwater right there as we're getting, there you go, right there. Up. It happens. It's live television, but I want you guys to get on the phone lines here because not only are we going to be talking about Father's Day, we're going to start off with that. What's your favorite Father's Day story, whether it's sports related or not? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. But also, there was some controversy this week that was stirred up by yours truly, along with the legend himself, a disagreement, if you will, when it comes to Mr. Tom Brady, who some people would say is not necessarily the best father with his choices when it comes to coming back to the Bucs or whatever else. That's subjective. I think he's a great father. But the issue for me is, does Tom Brady belong in the Ring of Honor? And should the Bucs and every other team, I'll put this out there, every other team, because he is the greatest of all time, retire the number 12? What do you guys think? Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. We're live here on my page, live here also on Instagram Live, YouTube. Like and subscribe. Facebook stars are open. YouTube super chats are open. And we're definitely here live at Belmar Saloon. So you got to love that. So let's start it off here. You want to start out with your Father's Day story, Mr. Legend himself, Leo Haggerty?
I will. And this goes back to my senior year in high school, 1970.
Okay.
And we in New Jersey play Friday night. We don't play Friday night football. We play Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
Because the major college in New Jersey back then was Rutgers, and they were pretty bad.
It's the same in Chicago, Leo. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we played, and Friday night I'm running about 102 temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't look too good. So we go into the team doctor Saturday morning, and he puts the thermometer over my tongue like a good team doctor would.
Right.
And he pulls it out, and there's my mom, and he goes, "Oh, look, he's down to 100 over my tongue." Right? And my mom and Dr. Ringgold, God love them, they're arguing. My dad just walks over, looks me in the eye, and says, "Anybody can play when they're healthy," and walks out. I said, "Okay, that's it." That old Submariner just threw down the old wrench right in front of me. I just walked up. Mom said, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm getting dressed. I got a football game to play." and that's my Father's Day story. Dad, I love you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Roy, what about you?
Well, my story goes back to when I was about 10 years old. I have a twin brother. And for our 10th birthday, my father, we grew up in a suburb of Chicago, Lombard, Illinois. And my father worked in the city. He was an insurance underwriter for what was then the Continental Insurance Company. And just to give you an idea of my dad, there's two little segments to this story. First of all, we both loved hockey. We were both baseball players and hockey players. And even back in the day, this is like 1968, hockey equipment was expensive, ridiculously expensive. Well, my dad took an entire paycheck and took us down to Gunzo's, which anybody who's grew up in Chicago knew Gunzo's is the outfitter for the Blackhawks,
Mm-hmm.
and bought us hockey equipment, professional, level hockey equipment, everything. Shin guards, shoulder pads, jerseys, pants, the whole bit. spent an entire paycheck on it. I'll never forget. We came home and, we were just buzzing, my brother and I. And my mom said to my dad, "What are we supposed to do for groceries the rest of the week?" And she said, "I guess we'll just have pancakes," which I thought was great because I was like, okay, pancakes for dinner. The other thing I want to say about my dad was, and this is kind of tells you an idea of what he was like. He built us a hockey rink back in our backyard. We had a massive backyard, and he actually built this hockey rink in the backyard. One of my greatest memories of my dad is waking up at like midnight in bed, looking out my window into the backyard and seeing my dad out there freezing. It's, sub-zero temperatures in Chicago. And he's got a hose, and he's spraying down that rink so that it's skatable the next day. And that was kind of the commitment my dad had to his children, and it was great. I had a childhood that I'm blessed to have had. I thank God every day for the great childhood I had, and it was all because of the good Lord and, of course, my dad being the guy that he was, and my mom as well.
Great. Ryan, go ahead.
So my dad's story. So my dad is from Louisiana, so he's a little bit of Cajun.
A little bit of
Cajun.
There you go.
Dad,
there it
He's
is.
from Louisiana. He's a true Cajun, 65-year-old dude, and does things a little bit back in the day. And so I was doing homework one day. He walks in the house. He's like, "Ryan, get the gun." I'm like, "Who did my dad piss off? What's going on?" And my dad says, "There's a turkey in the road." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And so we get in my dad had an 08 powder blue Prius at the time. We don't ask questions about why a country guy owned a Prius. But we're driving down the road in an undisclosed location in Tampa Palms. And the turkeys were on the right side of the road. My dad does a drive-by on a turkey, and I'm in the car. My dad shoots the turkey. I get out of the car. I go grab this thing. We just shot a turkey in a public road. I don't know why. Hunting with my dad was always a fun memory.
Mhm.
That one just made things a little bit more fun and spicier. I don't know. I loved that story with them, and a little bit of spontaneous in it. That's why I loved it.
Okay. Well, I'll share my story. My dad was, of
Before
course.
you go, Peter, I want to know, did you eat the turkey?
Of course.
There you go.
So it was
Great
definitely,
Thanksgiving.
it was roadkill.
It was
Literally.
roadkill, absolutely. My dad, of course, was a character on this show by the name of Rich from Clearwater. We created that character because we were on a 1,000-watt radio station at the time and weren't getting any calls. But my favorite story is before that, I actually got turned down for a TV job locally, and I was getting ready to quit. Leo, you know this all too well because I was talking to you about this. I was getting ready to quit and just do something different. And my dad pepped me up and said, "Listen, you got to do something different. You got to do something different from everybody else. If everybody is talking to fans for 2 minutes, talk to them more. Let them call in twice." So he really was a guy that created this show, and it just pumped me up. And with that being said, he said, "What do you need to make the sports web something that's a valuable commodity, if you will?" And I said, "A camera." And he's like, "Okay, done." We went out and got a camera after he pepped me up. And this was right before Father's Day, right? It's Father's Day, and he's buying me a camera, trying to make, the best for me. We go out and get a camera. It's not the right camera. We have to go back. We have to spend a little bit more. He said, "Don't ever miss a payment on this camera, but this is your camera now." And this started the evolution of sports talk television. So with his pep talk and with him saying, that
Let's drink to dad.
that's
guys.
the Rich from Clearwater right
to
there.
dad.
So, but guys, share your favorite Father's Day story. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391.
And if you're close to Belmar Saloon at the corner of Manhattan and El Prado, come on in. We'll put you on the radio here. And,
Yes.
you can share your Father's Day.
Well,
story.
it's like a radio station. It's like a TV radio show, and that's the thing about it. You created this because
it's TVO.
That's it. It's streaming. It's all across these great platforms like Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and of course Twitter out there. So
And
yes,
real quick, Peter, before we start, I want
Yes.
to thank the bar owners.
absolutely.
Yeah, Daniel and Ginger,
Nice.
who own the bar here, for letting us come in. And hey, we got a hard out at noon, so let's get to stuff. We got 34 minutes.
Well, I'm gonna go out to the comments really quick here. Dar says, "I'm here. Thank you very much for tuning in."
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Betty here. Love this. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. I guess I'll just fire the cannons for that one because we always love that. That's a new listener here. I call everybody that listens to the show the Webheads. Of course, it's in collaboration with Amped Up Sports. and Paul, the producer, in the background, which we'll get him on camera in just a little bit. Tim says, what's up, fellas? Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you, my friend. Jim says, maybe the Rays might have a win today. Happy Father's Day, men. We'll get back to that in a moment. And if you want to, and Helen says, happy Father's Day to all. Thank you, Helen. Again, you can comment. You can call in 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Let's start out with the Rays, I guess. Should we start out with the Rays?
You started off with the Bucks. Let's go back to that.
Well, let's go out. You know what? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for keeping me on point here. Let's talk about Tom Brady here. I believe he should be in the Ring of Honor because of the 3 years that he gave to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He changed the face of the franchise. He also led them with a win in Super Bowl 55 in their home stadium. He owns all the passing records. I feel like not only should he be in the Ring of Honor, but everybody, not just the Bucks, but everybody in the National Football League, because he's the greatest of all time, should retire his number. Leo, I know how you feel about this. Roy, two-time Florida Sports Writer of the Year. How do you feel about this?
Well, I'm certainly with you on him going into the Ring of Honor. I don't think there's any question that he belongs there. Look, Tom Brady did more in the 3 years that he was with the Buccaneers than some Buccaneers did in 8-9 years. He's clearly one of the legends of the game. He's a legend of the Buccaneers. He won a Super Bowl for him. I mean, the winning quarterback for a Super Bowl team absolutely belongs in the Ring of Honor. Now, retiring the number, that's a little bit sketchy, although I'll say this. If you retire number 12, well, then you're also retiring Doug Williams' number, so I don't have a problem with that. So I think I might vote for retiring that number. It gets a little dicey with quarterbacks because you don't have that many numbers you can throw out there before them, but they've changed the number system now with the NFL, so I say go ahead. You know what? Retire the number and absolutely belongs in the Ring of Honor, no question about it. And Leo, I know where you're going with this. If they retire Tom Brady's number, or if they put Brady in the Ring of Honor, not Trent Dilfer. Yeah,
even though he won a Super Bowl in the stadium,
Johnson
but it was with the Ravens.
Yeah, Brad Johnson belongs in the Ring of Honor, which I agree with that too.
Yeah, you know what, guys? Tom Brady does belong in the Ring of Honor in Foxborough, not in Tampa. And again, I look at it longevity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he won a Super Bowl. If you're going to put him in, you got to put in Brad Johnson. Okay, that's just a given.
Fine.
And yeah, fine.
Fine.
If you're going to go that way, but I think you put in Brad before you put in Tom Brady, or you put them in together.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the thing. Put them in together. Retire his jersey, no, and only because that's something you do to somebody who, like Kenny Hubbs out in Chicago, dies in a plane crash. Tom Brady was here 3 years. Somebody spent.
Babe Ruth didn't die in a plane crash.
Right.
No.
Nor did Lou Gehrig.
It's kind of comical.
Or Ted Williams.
Yeah. But
I know I'm talking baseball players. Tony Esposito didn't die in a plane crash.
But they were there more than 3 years, right, Roy? More than 3 years.
But, as I said, though, in 3 years, Tom Brady did more for that franchise. He turned that franchise around. He turned it inside out. And I think that franchise was it was in one of its darkest periods prior to him coming there. And he helped pull them out of it. Look, I think there's a lot of people involved in that organization at that time who probably should be in the Ring of Honor. Bruce Arians probably belongs there as well. But retire the number? Look, I think 12 maybe should have been retired because of Doug Williams a long time ago, so I don't have a problem with it.
And I believe he did didn't he go in the Ring of Honor, Bruce Arians? I believe he went in the Ring of Honor.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
There are a lot of people involved in the organization at that time.
Right.
Who probably belong in the Ring of Honor, and certainly, in my opinion, Tom Brady's one of them.
There you go. All right, let's go out to this comment here. We'll get back to the Tom Brady situation or discussion, if you will, if you want to chime in on this on the sports web. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391 live here at Belmar Saloon in Tampa. I'm your host, Peter Blick, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, and of course, two-time Florida Writer of the Year, Mr. Roy Cummings, and newest member here, Ryan Neal. I wanted to say Ryan Neal, but I didn't think I had the right name. Ryan Neal, right there, our draft analyst, if you will, doing some great stuff there with LSU. Let's read this comment here. Tom should be in the Ring of Honor. He did something no one else has ever done. Won a Super Bowl in year one during COVID. Exactly 40 touchdowns. Most likely should have been the MVP with just those circumstances alone. over in Aaron Rodgers. And then furthermore, the first team in NFL history to win a Super Bowl in their home stadium.
In front of nobody.
Right. Well, you got to get the mic and tell everybody because we couldn't hear you there.
In front of nobody.
I know. And then that's the shame of it all, because there could have been they should make a 30 for 30 about Tom Brady. And I'll tell you another thing. People are saying, well, he did all this stuff with the Patriots. That means more. No, the validation is with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because the whole discussion here, Roy and Leo and Ryan, was the fact of, well, Brady couldn't do it without Belichick. Well, he did it without Belichick. So that Super Bowl for the Bucs is actually more validation, and is actually most likely the most important Super Bowl, in my opinion, because nobody can say, oh, we can't do it without Belichick.
And the Bucs couldn't have done it without Brady. So, to me, again, it's a no-brainer. Belongs in the Ring of Honor. You certainly don't hurt yourself by putting that name in the Ring of Honor. Yeah.
It's somebody in the peanut gallery here, Mr. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay, Hardy Nickerson. So,
we can start a conversation about how many different players belong in the Ring of Honor, and certainly Hardy Nickerson would be one of them. But, this discussion's about Tom Brady. But, yeah, sure, Hardy Nickerson. I mean, if you want to start throwing names out there about who belongs, there's plenty of them.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm surprised, because when you threw that out there, I threw it out there on social media, on Facebook especially, there is so much loyalty to Doug Williams, and I get it. He was the first quarterback. You look at his numbers, though, 73 touchdowns, 73 interceptions, also got injured. He won a Super Bowl for the Redskins at the time, but there's so much loyalty to Doug Williams. When you say number 12, they don't think Tom Brady. They think Doug Williams. So I was still surprised by that. There's so many hardcore Buccaneer fans out there. I love that.
The unfortunate thing about Doug Williams' career is that this community did not appreciate him as much as it should have when he was here.
Mm-hmm.
He was a controversial figure because he was not, there is no perfect quarterback. Well, maybe there is, Brady. But I mean, look, Doug Williams had as many difficult moments as he had spectacular moments, but still, he was as good a quarterback as this franchise has ever had. And it's just unfortunate that a lot of people in this community, I mean, they look at it differently now perhaps, but they didn't realize how good he was until he was gone, until he won a Super Bowl. They realized, oh, yeah, that's right, we had him. Maybe we should have held on to him, and absolutely, they probably should have. It's interesting. I mean, you think about what would the course of the Buccaneers have been had they held on to Doug Williams. Would it have been the same as it was, all those years of difficulty? Would they have won a Super Bowl sooner with him? It's hard to know, but he was a talent that probably didn't get enough credit for being as good as he was when he was.
I saw this on social media, and I wanted Leo to comment, and also Roy, of course, and Ryan. Jameis Winston, if he stays another year, do you think with the team that they built up that he could have won a Super Bowl, or any other quarterback for that matter, or is it just Brady in your opinion, Leo?
Oh, no, they could have won with another quarterback.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that team was good. That team was really – and think about it now.
To that point,
how good that defense was.
You don't get Gronk, you don't get Leonard Fournette, and you don't get Antonio Brown.
Well, you get Leonard Fournette. You'll get Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
Right.
He would have been here. But you wouldn't have gotten Gronk. You might have got a couple other guys.
It wasn't a defense that won. They held Kansas City to 3 field goals.
Oh,
think
yeah.
about that now. That was amazing. Ryan, what do you think?
I am completely on with that. I think if Jameis Winston could have limited his interceptions, maybe, I think they could have won. But I think you put maybe 25 of any QBs in the league in that position, I think they could have done pretty good with that team.
Yeah, personally. I don't know. Look, I'm a big Jameis Winston supporter. And the thing that I've always been upset about with the way the Bucs handled that entire situation was Bruce Arians was brought here to do one thing, to develop Jameis Winston into a championship caliber quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
When that became really difficult, and maybe in their minds they decided it just wasn't going to happen, and they decided to bag that effort, they gave up on Jameis Winston, and they gave up on him because Tom Brady was available. Right. And nobody else wanted him. Let's not forget that either. Yeah. I mean, Tom Brady had maybe 3 offers, and one of them was legit from the Buccaneers. So, they had an opportunity to do something really special outside of the box, and they took advantage, which is the Glazers' way. I mean, they did the same thing with Keyshawn Johnson. They did the same thing with John Gruden. This is what the Bucs do. They'll probably do something, special like this in another 10 years after this Baker Mayfield era runs out. So we'll see where this goes. But I've always kind of been upset that the Bucs really kind of dropped the ball on Jameis Winston because they didn't do what they set out to do, which was develop him into a championship caliber quarterback. And again, maybe they thought that he wasn't going to be that, But I still think there was a possibility that he could have been, because don't forget, the reason Jameis Winston threw so many of the interceptions he threw was because he had a defense that could not protect a lead. He had special teams that could not, kick a field goal and support him. How many times did he put
receivers
this team,
that couldn't run routes?
Right.
That was even
there
worse.
There were a lot of times when Jameis Winston brought this team back in the fourth quarter, gave him a lead, and the lead couldn't be held. And the next thing you know, they're down by 8 points, and he's got to throw, passes that he shouldn't be throwing with 3 minutes left, and there's the interception. So,
and you know what?
Roy, that had a lot to do with it too.
And Roy, you and I were sitting in that last press conference after Jameis throws the interception against Atlanta and goes, and I asked, we knew right away Jameis was done, because I asked point blank Bruce Arians, Coach, is Jameis fixable? Pregnant pause. And I leaned to Roy, I said, oh, he's gone. He said, we'll decide that later. But, oh, geez, you got me wrapped up there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was afraid of.
My bad. My bad. I was just trying to get that out of there. So.
Oh, you did.
Yep. Sorry about
That's
that.
why you call it live TV, right?
That's it. Sorry about that. I didn't know that was connected. So there you go. That's my
just host it, Peter. We'll
that's my fault right there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, but you're exactly right. Spilled water, spilled drink, and it seemed like a lot of people out there feel like Roy that they didn't do as much with Jameis. You built a running game. The offensive line improved with getting Tristan Wirfs that rookie year, of course. And
you know what? The
defense improved.
And
with
the schedule hit perfectly.
Right.
When they played people. They played New Orleans. They knew what they were getting there. Drew Brees couldn't break a pane of glass.
Right.
He just had no arm left. They went to Green Bay. They knew what they were getting there. They went and had Kansas City. They knew what they were getting. Because I asked the Buccaneers defensive backs right there on the spot, could you tell how fast Tyreek was? No. We didn't know until he showed up. Well, guess what? They figured out there. And Ryan, you got guys coming out of LSU now. Quarterback, Jaden Daniels. You got receivers. Man, there's some great players coming out of LSU, aren't there?
I'm well aware of that one. I went to their pro day. I saw a lot of guys stick out of the draft board. Not even the draft board, just have really good workouts. One guy I'm really looking forward to, it's on the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's not a receiver. It's Mason Smith. It's a defensive tackle. He had some injury issues at LSU, but I think that's going to be a nice depth piece there. And then Brian Thomas with the new Trevor Lawrence. It's going to be something interesting. He better be throwing some good passes at $55 million a year.
Well, we'll get back to Trevor Lawrence in a moment. What you're watching right now is the Sports Web Live here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and, of course, Instagram Live. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, Roy Cummings, and, of course, Ryan Neal here talking about Bucks, talking about your favorite.
And Butterfingers Peter.
Butterfingers Peter with that. Yes, you gotta definitely. And I was just trying to get that out of your way because it was blocking your shot. I wanted people to see your face, but then again, you do have a face for radio.
Absolutely. So. That's why I was there.
Now, listen, Roy, going back to it, the story was that it was going to be Teddy Bridgewater. It was not going to be Jameis. It was going to be Teddy. So looking back at it, Teddy Bridgewater, does he still win a Super Bowl with the Bucks?
No, I don't think so.
I don't either.
I don't think so. Look, again, this team came together in a way that no one really envisioned. And it was because of Tom Brady, that leadership. I mean, Tom Brady has a way of just, gluing a team together and bringing everyone together and taking them to another level. And again, I think we've learned that it wasn't Belichick that made the Patriots great. It was Brady that made the Belichick Patriots great. And I think it was Brady that made this team great. And that's, again, back to the original question. That's why he belongs in the Ring of Honor with the Buccaneers, why I wouldn't mind retiring his number. I think it's all deserving because he was the guy. He was the guy. And it's a quarterback-driven league. It is what it is. You can have great receivers. You can have great linebackers, great safeties, great, offensive line. The offensive line wasn't great. Brady figured out a way to make it work. The running game was a work in progress. They find a way to make it work. Tom Brady was surrounded by tremendous weapons at the receiver and tight end position.
Probably the best in his career.
Arguably the best in his career, and a defense that figured out how to hold the lead. So they got fortunate, but Brady made a lot of that happen.
You know what? When we're talking about this with Brady and all that, could another quarterback win? Maybe, but all the stars aligned. Let's be honest here. It was everything in line with the Buccaneers. When you look at what was happening in the league then, talk about a quarterback-driven league. Ron Jaworski and Greg Cosell. Yeah, I know I'm name dropping here.
Absolutely. We got to get
But-
them on this. We've had Jaws on before. We need to get on Cosell.
But they said watching film, Tom Brady, everybody said, oh, no, he's not moving on. He is the best at stepping up, stepping back, or right or left just to extend the play that way. He is phenomenal at that. And that's what he did with the Bucs. And I can remember asking Tristan Wirtz at camp that one year. I said, what did Brady tell you right away? He said, don't let him come inside. Don't let him come quick. And that was the key. Just give me time to get rid of the football.
Love it. Good stuff. I want to get this guy on because he's been working hard with me on setting up the camera shot. Did a great job today. If I didn't have him, he's like my right-hand man. We've been doing this for so many years. I know he has a great Father's Day story. Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. Ryan, can you go ahead and share the mic? Come on, Ray. Come on. I know you want to get on the sports web. You've been on the sports web before here. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. Welcome to the Evolution here, live from Belmar Saloon. How about that, huh?
Brother, and I'll tell you what, I do have a story, and it's Bucs related because I remember 1976. My grandfather got the tickets for my uncle and my dad. North end zone, 14 rows up, center of the uprights, $8 a piece. It was literally what you're talking, $160 for the season. But he started my love of the Buccaneers. He started my love of sports. And my dad, I remember he burned Mike Ray's jersey the year the Bucs didn't make the playoffs. he had his last name Ray. But he turned me on to sports. We had so many great memories. So even to this day, as I go back to Raymond James, but the Sombrero or anywhere, it brings me closer to my dad, who's now in a luxury box there in the sky, just above Raymond James. Best seats in the house.
I hope they're both together. I hope my dad met your dad, and then you all met Sean, the sports don. I know Sean; he would be just talking his ass off right now to both of them, which was great. Thanks, having those. Yeah, absolutely. Tampa Bay, Ray, thanks a lot for the story. I always go back to it when I was 8 years old. My dad basically laid down the law. He said, "You're going to be a Bucs fan, you're going to be a Tampa Bay sports fan, or you're going to leave the house." That's how it goes.
You know what, Peter, while we're on it. A little bit of a different subject. I'm going to steal Roy's thunder a little bit here. If you're not watching live sports, what are you watching on Netflix, Roy?
Let's see. I don't know if it's Netflix or not. Maybe it is Netflix. I'm watching The Bear for sure. I'll give it up. I watch Bridgerton, although I have not started the newest season yet because I'm stuck in the middle.
I won't drop any spot, but I've already watched it.
Well, good.
Okay.
So I'm watching Bridgerton. If you haven't seen it, watch it. And I haven't seen that latest season because I'm so caught up right now in Welcome to Wrexham. And then what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get through all the first 3 seasons of Welcome to Wrexham. I just started season 3 last night, so I can get up to it live, so I can start following this team in real life, because I have become an absolute. I've never been a soccer fan. I mean, I'll certainly watch it, World Cup, I'll watch that kind of thing. But there's no team out there that I care about. I don't care about Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. I don't care about any of that stuff. But all of a sudden, I'm a Wrexham fan, and I am anxious to get to up to speed with where they are and find out who they are. So that's what I'm watching. It's The Bear, Welcome to Wrexham, Bridgerton when I'm done with Welcome to Wrexham.
And you know what? I finished season 3 of Welcome to Wrexham, but I can't wait for The Chosen to come back on.
Oh, and yes, The Chosen.
That's one of mine. And I'll tell you what, you may think I'm crazy. The Boys has just dropped its new season.
It's good. I've never seen it before.
Oh my God, you gotta watch.
It's really good.
It's superheroes going wild.
I love it.
You're cold.
I've watched the first 3 seasons. It's a great show. Like, the way I describe it is, what if corporations controlled superheroes? That's essentially what it is, and it's awesome. It's a really good show.
Nice.
So,
all right.
Watch that.
And there's one takeoff on that too. Generation V, which is a little bit of a spin-off of that. So it's crazy what's going on. But I tell you what, streaming's the way to go, guys.
It is. This is the future. This is the evolution. Yes, we see the time right there.
We can go to 11:55, Peter.
11:55. So we were on for a little bit. We're going to read the rest of these comments, but I will share my insights here. Stranger Things, I got into that. I watched all 4 seasons, binge watched that. That was impressive. Looking forward to the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight right there. Rolex reporter just saying, hopefully Paul wins because that Rolex is worth a lot more. And then furthermore, you know me, I'm a big time wrestling fan. I'm looking forward to Monday Night Raw on Netflix. So that's what I'm looking forward to. All right, let's go out to these comments here. Rob says, no Brady, no Gronk. That means no Super Bowl win because Gronk made our left tackle look like an all-pro, which, by the way, Donovan Smith being the human turnstile there, still getting away with murder like OJ there in Kansas City with all the holds that he had this year. Sorry, just have something. I can't believe he's not gotten more flags than he's got. Just saying. He's actually
got more Super Bowl rings than flags.
I know. Sad but true. Good out. And Bucs fans will say they should have kept him. No, Tristan Wirfs is going to be the best left tackle in the league. Once he gets his contract done, he'll probably be the highest paid left tackle in the game. Christopher O'Reilly says, good afternoon, gentlemen. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you're a father or not. I assume you are. Happy Father's Day, Scott. I know you're a father. Happy Father's Day to you.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Scott again. My grandfather made me a sports fan and Bucs fan. He was the only diehard in the family and made me one. Love that story right there. Let's go out to Scott again. When no sports are on, I usually watch movies or binge watch Bar Rescue. Would love John to walk into place while I'm there. That would be kind of cool to have him on the evolution of sports talk television, right? And I'm a co-host of the show, producer on Wednesdays there. It's live Monday and Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. The JP Peterson Show. JP Peterson, happy Father's Day, guys. Looking great. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you as always. In fact, we'll give you a Ric Flair.
Woo!
There we go right there. So,
you know what, guys? We got to touch on this before we go.
are we touching on the Rays? Because everybody seems like every hitter has touched on the Rays pitchers lately.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Caitlin Clark,
yes.
We got to go down this road.
Let's do it.
And I'll tell you what, the WNBA owners better get together and tell the players, hey, look, you're killing the golden goose here.
Yeah.
The only reason people are coming to these games is because of Caitlin Clark. And I remember covering the NCAA women's final in Tampa. It was the 3 greatest games they ever had with just Baylor, Oregon, Connecticut, Notre Dame. They were all 2 3-point games. It was great. 20,000 people there. When Caitlin Clark went to Washington, they moved their arena from the 4,200 seats to 20,000, and they sold more than the Boston Celtics Dallas first round game. I'll tell you what, Ryan, they better start ringing cha-ching, cha-ching, because this is what's happening.
Well, I completely agree with that, and I say it's not only Caitlin Clark, it's Angel Reese too. Let me do a little U-turn back to LSU again, but I think the players with NIL, they're making a brand for themselves, and then they're going into the league and they're bringing that brand with them. And I think more people care about Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese than they do the WNBA. That's a big statement, but I think that's, in my all honesty, I think that's what I believe.
I tend to agree with you. I think you're right. I think there's more interest. There's interest in Caitlin Clark. She just happens to be in the WNBA now, just like there was interest in women's college basketball. There was interest in Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and some of these players. Caitlin Clark, she had the spotlight on her, and in that shadow were Angel Reese and some others, and now we're starting to see how great of players they are as well. And I just think that in terms of the Olympics, I think it was a mistake to leave Caitlin Clark off the team. Look, obviously, women's basketball, they've got to figure it out. They've won the gold medal every time they've been out there. They'll probably do it again even without Caitlin Clark. But I'll say this. Probably NBC loses more than anything, and the fans lose because we don't get to see Caitlin Clark on the greatest stage for any athlete, really, which to me is the Olympics. And so I think for that reason alone, I'd like to see her on the team.
And the league loses because all they're talking about is getting paid more wages, getting more publicity. You've got that, and now you're just trying to curtail that by not having her in the Olympics, by trying to hard foul her, and just it's vindictive, it's petty, it's stupid, it's nonsense. If you want your league to grow, you go with what's going to make it grow, and that's Clark at the end of the day. And they've definitely dropped the ball when it comes to that. I'm sorry. Angel Reese is a good basketball player, but she's not Caitlin Clark, and they just don't care about her. They care about Caitlin Clark, and that's the reason why the ratings have gone up on that. So a missed opportunity by the WNBA.
What's the reasoning that they don't have Caitlin Clark on the team?
Well, the way they pick the team is they believe that she doesn't have the experience. She's not one of the best players in the game right now. From what I've read and heard, it's more about lack of international experience, except how do you get international experience if you don't go play international?
Yeah.
To me, it's just look for the publicity of it all, because you know what? Come Olympic time, we're going to be watching, the men's 100 meters. We're going to be watching the shot put. We're going to be watching the men's basketball team. You know what we're not going to be watching? The women's basketball game.
Right.
And it'll get shoved underneath the rug just like it always does. They'll win a gold medal, and we might see the gold medal game and maybe a couple of others, but it will not be one of the premium events that you watch.
If she was there, it'd be every game on TV.
Absolutely. Every game would be on. There'd be highlights of her every time she played. There'll probably be a little bit more just because of the controversy now, but at the end of the day, she brings more eyeballs, more attention to the game, and grows the game more, which is what right now the women's basketball needs. It needs a growth spurt. She's it.
And I'm going to go to Coach Speak here real quick, and then we're going to go to Peter because we're going to have to cut out of here shortly.
Yes, absolutely.
But you know what? As a coach, if I'm down 3 and I'm looking down my bench, you know who I want with the basketball? Caitlin Clark. Don't tell me there's a better shooter in the Don't tell me there's a better shooter in all of women's basketball than Caitlin Clark. Heck, she can hit it from the parking lot.
If there was a better shooter, we'd know her name.
Exactly.
And we don't, so there isn't.
Exactly.
All right, so thanks a lot to everybody here participating. For Ryan Neal, for the legend Leo Haggerty, for the great Roy Cummings. I'm your host, Peter Blake. 3 things we say here on the Sports Web. You know them, you love them, you got to have them. So here it is on a Happy Father's Day edition. Bring your passion, bring your excitement.
Just don't bring any nonsense.
There you go. No nonsense, guys. We'll see you soon here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to everybody.
Guys, have a great day.
Great show, guys.
All right. This time we'll do it with the camera on.